In the last video, I talked about the fact that I learned how to hire the hard way. And I wasn't following my own process. Here's an idea of how your process can look, and it does depend on what type of role you're looking for. With executive roles and big leadership roles, you might want to extend the process. Maybe 15 minutes in the beginning on the phone where you're identifying deal breakers. We don't have health insurance. Are you okay with us not having health insurance? We can only pay this amount. I notice how much experience you have. Are you okay with that salary range? We have a hybrid work environment. You work across town. Will you be all right with coming in twice a week? How set up are you to work at home? And this is also when they can ask you questions. Then you might bring them in for a face-to-face. This is a first meet. Remember, people are nervous. Give them a glass of water, show them around, sit down with them, ask them simple questions from their resume. I noticed you did this. Can you describe your average work day? What's your vision for your career? Things like that, right? You're just getting a sense of them. If you still feel good about them, you would go ahead and do skills testing. Now, you want to test for any hard skills needed. So hard skills such as math tests, QuickBooks tests, understanding how to respond in a professional way to an email. So you might give a writing test. So think about the skills that are needed and how you could test for them. And you may want to do assessments. So assessments are values assessments or behavioral assessments. That's up to you. If you're familiar with them, I highly recommend using some scientifically proved assessments. That's enough for one day. You would give yourself some space and then call them back for the behavioral interview if they tested well and you felt good about the first two interviews. The behavioral interview is based on the idea that someone's past performance indicates how they'll perform with you. And you do behavioral interviewing to validate all the things you can't test for. Maybe you want to understand if they can give and receive feedback, because we give a lot of feedback here. And so you might ask a behavioral question. Tell me about a time when you received constructive feedback and used it wisely. What was the situation and what did you learn? Tell me about a time when you had to give feedback and it was difficult. What was the situation? What did you learn? So it's a good idea to do kind of a positive opposite on each skill. And you're only writing down what they say. You're going to look at the patterns around that after the interview is over. In other words, don't write down the judgment of what you think their answer was. Instead, you're writing down their answer verbatim as much as possible. And then you take some space after the behavioral interview to say, okay, what did I learn about them? How did they think? How did they solve problems? How do they learn? Learning is really important, especially if your strategy is to grow employees into higher positions. You want to hire learners.